Hey, welcome back to the Break Free Podcast. I'm Ben, your host and the co-founder of the nonprofit Upsolve, and I am thrilled that you're here on this Friday morning with me. And it's a good Friday. It's snowing outside. You can tell I've got my sweater on. I'm cold. Just loving life out here in the wintry New Hampshire. For those of you in the South, I'm sorry you don't get the snow that we have up here. It really makes the winter quite fun, but it also makes it kind of miserable sometimes because I don't get to wear t-shirts. I have to wear sweaters. What a bummer. For those of you who are like on the audio only version, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? And that's a good question. Nothing relevant to this show. So let's dive in. On the Break Free Podcast, as everybody knows, this podcast is about helping you break free from financial stress and create financial joy for yourself. That's really what it's all about. It's not about budgeting. It's not about making money. It's not about saving money. It's about using the money and resources you have to create financial joy and removing the obstacles to that. Before we dive in, as always, I want to share a quick disclaimer. I have a law degree and experience with personal finance, but I'm not a licensed attorney or a financial advisor. This podcast is about sharing my journey and the tools that help me. It is not legal or financial advice. For specific advice, you want to consult a licensed attorney or a financial advisor. All right, that said, let's dive in. Today, we're going to be talking about something really important. In our last episode, we talked about some of the pros and cons of filing bankruptcy. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how you get free legal aid for debt relief. How do you get free support from lawyers or legal professionals to help you deal with your debt? Very often, lawyers are expensive. I know that's like the first thing I ever thought of when I thought of lawyers. Lots of money that I don't have. But there are actually free legal resources in most states that if you qualify, can be really helpful on your get out of debt and move into financial joy journey. So let's talk about that a little bit. I actually have experience dealing with these in my own debt relief journey. Back in 2015, 2016, when I was dealing with $60,000 in credit card debt, I could not afford an attorney, right? And so I had no idea what to do other than doing my own research online, which didn't go super well. So one of the things that I was able to do was to reach out to legal aid. And I found this by going online and typing free legal help near me. I lived in Texas at the time. Found a couple of different legal aid centers and actually was able to get a little bit of advice from them. And because of that, I believe that legal aid can be a really, really powerful resource. So in this episode, I'm going to offer some tips on navigating legal aid services effectively, even when they have capacity issues, which is very often a problem with legal aid. So on this podcast, we like to back up what we say with additional information and evidence for you to research on your own. So if you want to learn more, please take a look at our website, upsolve.org. I've mentioned it in the past. You can click on the Get Debt Help option, take our free TurboTax style screener to see what debt relief options are available to you. And this article here will be linked up. That's the wrong article. Hold on one second. I'll get the right one up. This is another one you might want to read. But this is What is Chapter 7 Bankruptcy? Good to learn. But the one we're going to be talking about is actually around legal aid. Give me a moment. There we go. I copied and pasted it over this thing. There we go. We're human, folks. How can I get free legal aid to help me file bankruptcy, or specifically to help me with debt relief generally? So take a look at this article. It's linked in the description. There's a lot of good information in here that you can use to determine which options might be available near you. Okay, so back to it. By the end of this episode, you're going to be equipped to explore legal aid options in your area as a step towards reclaiming your financial future. So I mentioned a second ago that I dealt with legal aid. Let's talk about that a little bit more. When I was struggling with debt, one of the most important turning points for me came when I connected with legal aid in Texas. I lived in Austin at the time. They have some great resources there. I was feeling super overwhelmed. I was working tons of hours just to scrape by and trying to figure out whether Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy was the right path forward for me. And I wasn't a lawyer. I'm still not. I have a law degree. I'm still not a licensed attorney. And those things are complicated. They were really complicated for me to get back then. And talking to a free legal aid attorney not only guided me toward Chapter 7, but it also helped me better understand why it was a better fit for my situation than Chapter 13, which saved me a lot of time and money. That clarity changed everything for me. Later in life during law school, I had the privilege of working at a self-help legal desk at the Cook County Courthouse that did those sorts of free legal services. And it gave me a really deep appreciation for the people who work in legal aid. Let me tell you, these folks are incredible, right? Like we think of lawyers as making tons of money, showing up in courthouse, fancy suits, all this sort of stuff. It's like a prestige profession, right? So these are individuals who are giving of their time, who are often juggling heavy caseloads, but their empathy and dedication shine through in the support they provide in these free services. They genuinely want to help people, even if capacity challenge often mean that they can't always take on every case. Now, one thing that I saw repeatedly at that legal desk is how often a single conversation can point someone in the right direction. So even if legal aid can't handle your case directly, they can often connect you to the resources or information that you need. And for me, that guidance was a lifeline. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by debt, struggling with your finances, or honestly just any legal issue that's taking up brain space and keeping you from being able to live a joyful life, I encourage you to consider legal aid as a starting point. It might not solve everything overnight, but it can provide you with clarity, with options, and with the hope that you need to keep moving forward. So why is legal aid valuable just in general? Let's talk about what it is. So basically, on average, what legal aid is, it kind of varies in every state. It's lawyers or paralegals or people trained to do some of the things that lawyers and paralegals do, who are available to you, usually for free, actually always for free, often paid for by the state or by some local endowment, who help you navigate legal issues. Now, generally, they're not going to help you navigate like an enormous merger and acquisition, right? Like that's not what they're there for. They're there to help with the everyday issues that people like you and I face, like speeding tickets or evictions or debt collection and things like that. And they have resources that they can point you towards, whether those are tutorials or help filling out forms, what have you, but things that make your legal journey easier and that don't require you to spend a ton of money for a lawyer, which is obviously valuable, right? If you're dealing with financial challenges, you don't have a lot of money, and so having free services available can be helpful. They're designed, these clinics or these organizations, to help people who are considered low income. Usually that means below 200 or 300% of the federal poverty level, access justice and navigate complex legal systems. Because let's face it, the legal systems in the US are super complex, like way too complicated. The fact that I went to law school for 3 years and I still often don't understand them tells you how complicated they are. When it comes to debt relief, legal aid clinics and agencies and organizations can provide super helpful guidance. For example, they can help you understand whether bankruptcy is right for you. They can explain the differences between Chapter 7 and 13, or they can point you towards other debt relief options like credit counseling or settlement programs. And one of their biggest benefits is that they're accessible. These services are often free or low cost. Often they happen, over the phone or on web consults. So you don't have to go anywhere. And that can make them a lifeline for people who can't afford private attorneys, which, about you, for most of my life, there's no world in which I could have afforded a private attorney. So that sounds like you, it sounds like me. And while every case is unique, legal aid teams are really good at identifying pathways that you might not have considered. So in some instances, they might not be able to tell you this is exactly what you should do or help you at every step of your case, but they can give you a point in the right direction. Or they can say, this is something you can do on your own. This is something you should talk to an attorney with. They can be really helpful in kind of triaging that. Another important part of legal aid is their network of resources, which I touched on. When they can't take your case directly, often because of high demand or other limitations, they'll connect you with other helpful organizations or tools, whether legal or otherwise. Oftentimes they have resources to help you with food insecurity or to help point you towards, employment coaching and training, things like that. Those can be great resources found in one spot if you need some help. In my own journey, legal aid helped me understand the key distinctions between Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and really, honestly, was one of the main things that convinced me that Chapter 7 bankruptcy was the right thing for me to get out of debt and get a fresh start. That experience wasn't just helpful, it was transformative. So if you're feeling stuck, know that legal aid can be a powerful ally in your corner, helping you explore your options and regain control of your financial future. So sounds great, right? Like free legal resources, yay! Well, there's obviously some challenges to that. It was too good to be true, probably is, or at least sometimes is. And that's definitely the case with legal aid. So let's talk about some of the challenges and how to overcome them. So while legal aid is a fantastic resource, it's not without its challenges. And understanding these obstacles and how to navigate them can help you make the most of what's available to you. First challenge is the high demand and long wait times. Nothing like free to get a crowd, am I right? Legal aid organizations often operate with limited resources, which means they can't assist everybody right away. You might experience delays or find that your local office is stretched pretty thin. There's ways to overcome this, and one of the best is to prepare before reaching out. Gather all the documents you think you need or that you might need, like, if it's a debt issue, your bank statements, your income records, and any legal notices. Having this ready can help streamline your consultation and show that you're ready to take action. A great way to handle this is to say, go on Google and say, well, you could even use ChatGPT, something like that. And you can say, hey, I'm dealing with such and such legal issue. What documents might I need? Grab all those, take them with you to your consultation. Next is limited case capacity, which is kind of falls in the first, right? Timing, resources are scarce. You can't take on a ton of cases. Sometimes you can't take on all the cases. Sometimes you don't have the right lawyers to take on those cases. So sometimes legal aid can't take your case due to their capacity issues. This doesn't mean they can't help. It just means that their role might be more advisory, like helping you understand who you should reach out to, than actually hands-on, like handling your case. The way you can overcome that is to just ask for referrals. Legal aid teams often have a network of other organizations, clinics, or self-help resources that can assist you. For example, Upsolve.org is a great tool for exploring debt relief options as bankruptcy is on the table, and many legal aid agencies actually refer people to us when they need help with bankruptcy. And there are lots of organizations like Upsolve that help provide services to people who have challenging financial and legal situations. So don't be afraid to ask. And one other great thing to do is before you go in or jump on a phone call or a Zoom call or whatever with a legal aid clinic, write down a list of the questions that you have. And then if you can, write down next to those things who you think you might want to talk to. Like if you think you might want to talk to an employment office, or you think you might want to talk to a, career coach or something like that. If you come in with some ideas, and granted, we wouldn't have lawyers if everybody knew exactly what they needed to do. But if you come in with some ideas and some questions, doing that work ahead of time will help the person you speak with in legal aid point you in the correct direction faster. And it will also help you ask better questions, which will increase your confidence and ensure that you get better results. Okay, so even with guidance from a legal aid, clinic, provider, practitioner, whatever, you might feel overwhelmed managing your case. Legal jargon, so crazy terms like, habeas corpus. I don't know why that's the first one I thought of, but like all these legal terms in Latin can be overwhelming. Court procedures, who the heck knows what's going on sometimes with court procedures? Sometimes I think the courts don't even know what's going on. But that's not true. They are professional for sure, but they can be really confusing. It's hard to know what's happening when. It's hard to make sure you keep track of everything, dot your I's, cross your T's. And the forms, oh my goodness, the forms can seem super daunting. So a way to overcome this with legal aid or any provider that's providing free services is to take it step by step. Start with resources like Upsolve's free screener, which you can go to upsolve.org, click on the Get Free Debt Help option, run through that screener. TurboTax-style screener that breaks down the bankruptcy process into manageable pieces. You'll also find guides and articles written in plain language to help you understand your options. So despite the challenges that legal aid has, capacity, not necessarily always being able to help with cases, really being time constrained, legal aid can be a great first step towards clarity in your financial health journey. Even if it isn't perfectly smooth, these services can be a really awesome starting point for a brighter financial future. If you're considering legal aid as a starting point for your debt relief journey, here are some tools and steps to help you make the most of this resource. First, our screener, upsolve.org. I mentioned it. If you're unsure about bankruptcy or other debt relief options, check out the free screener at upsolve.org. It's simple to use, and it can help you determine which option will help you get out of debt in a way that will work well for you. And if one of those options doesn't work, we have resources that can refer you to local legal aid or to bankruptcy lawyers for free bankruptcy evaluations to see if that is a good fit with, more of a human touch. So check out that upsolve.org screener. That can be really helpful. You can also reach out to legal aid offices. We've got resources on our website that can help you find them. You can go to USA.gov has a free legal aid finder. So you just jump in Google, free legal aid finder, USA Gov. You'll be able to find something there. It's broken down state by state with a map, which is really cool. Makes it easy to find something close to you if you want to go in person. You can reach out to them. Many of them provide free consultations. And as I said earlier, if they don't, they can provide you with free resources tailored to your specific needs. Always be prepared to explain your situation clearly and bring any relevant documents to your meeting. Now, beyond legal aid, there are lots of other nonprofit organizations and tools that can support you, including credit counseling services, which are certified agencies that can help you create a budget and explore debt repayment plans. There are the self-help desks at courthouses, which I actually mentioned earlier. I worked at one of those when I was in law school. Most of them have them. They're great resources, really helpful people that typically staff them. And many courthouses have them. If they don't have specific self-help desks, they usually have some staff at the courthouse I know it's scary to go to courthouses, but they actually generally pretty nice people in there, and they have staff that can help guide you through basic legal procedures. Great story here. When I filed my bankruptcy, I did it all kinds of wrong. Like my forms were out of control. I don't know what I was doing. Like I put so much time in it that it just inverted back in on itself and stopped making sense. And when I filed my forms, the court clerk actually looked through the whole thing, found a couple of errors that I made. And my fear was they're going to be like, how dare you? You did this wrong. But they actually took the time to walk me through how to fix those and made sure that my case was good to go when they filed it. And had I not spoken with them about it and asked them for help, had I not gotten over my own shame and, honestly, kind of just arrogance that, I can do this, then I would have been, I don't want to say screwed, but I would have been in a much worse position than I was when that helpful clerk walked me through it. So if you want some guidance, that's what the court clerks are there for. That's what the self-help desks are there for at court. Talk to them, ask them questions. They know that you're not a lawyer. They're more than happy to help you walk through those things. Now, once you've gathered advice and resources, the most important thing to do about your legal issues, especially if they're financial and they're immediate, like bankruptcy needs, or if you're being evicted or something, don't wait, act. Acting and taking action on this is the most important thing to do. Whether it's filing your paperwork, attending a counseling session, or starting the bankruptcy process, the sooner you begin, the sooner you're going to feel some relief. I can tell you that for experience. I spent probably 2 years trying the Dave Ramsey budget, stuffing cash into envelopes. Whoa, throwing my microphone around here. Holy smokes. Stuffing cash into envelopes, feeling like I was a slave to my budget, not paying things. My debt got bigger. And the second I acted, I said, why the heck didn't I do this years ago? 6 months later, piece of paper in my hand said I was out of debt, and I moved on with my life. The sooner you act to take care of your legal issues and get your financial feet under you again, the better you're going to feel and the quicker your life can start again. Legal aid and tools like Upsolve exist to help people in tough financial situations find a way forward. Remember, you're not alone, and there are resources designed specifically to support you. So let's talk about what we've covered today. We talked about how legal aid can be a valuable starting point if you're struggling with debt. I shared how it helped guide me toward Chapter 7 bankruptcy and away from Chapter 13 when I needed that clarity. We also discussed the challenges legal aid organizations face, like high demand and capacity issues, and how you can overcome them by being prepared and exploring additional resources. Remember, legal aid professionals work tirelessly to provide support and guidance, even under difficult circumstances. And while they may not always be able to take your case, they can often connect you to tools and resources that can make a real difference. Like Upsolve's free screener, plug, and educational guides, plug. If today's episode resonated with you, take the first step. Reach out to your local legal aid office or explore upsolve.org to learn more about your debt relief options. The path forward starts with one small decision. As always, thank you for tuning into the Break Free podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. It's the best way to help others discover these resources and find financial joy in their lives. Join me on Monday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our next episode. We'll discuss the Chapter 7 Means Test Calculator. Ooh, the means test. Sounds scary. It's not. Don't worry. Tune in. And remember, no matter how overwhelming things feel, there's always a way forward towards financial joy. I'm Ben, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Break Free.